Hello everybody, I'm going to be showing you how to make this tiny little mouse. So it only measures about 1.5 inches in length. Just a really cute little project to use up some yarn scraps, because we're only going to be using some black and then a single colour of your choice. And I chose brown for this little mouse. But I'm actually going to be using white for this, so I'm going to make a little white mouse as well. This is some DK light worsted weight yarn, and I've got the same in black as well. That's a DK light worsted weight yarn as well. But of course you can use any yarn that you like. Thicker yarn will always make a bigger mouse. I'm going to be using a 3mm crochet hook, or you can use one that's suitable for the yarn you're using. And like I always say, it's a good idea to have some scissors and a yarn needle as well. Okay, so oh yes, we also need a little bit of toy stuffing as well. And if you don't have any toy stuffing, you can just use yarn scraps as well for stuffing your little mouse. So let's begin. So we're going to take our main colour to start with. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. So we're going to start off the simple way. We're going to chain 4. Let's do a little slip knot. Chain 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then all we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into our first chain. So we're going to put our hook into our first chain and bring the yarn through and straight through the loop on our hook, and that creates a little loop out of our 4 chains, in which in the middle you should find a hole. So into that hole I'm going to put our hook. So now we want to ignore the chains, it doesn't matter how many chains we got there. When into that hole we're going to work 5 single crochets. So we're going to bring the yarn through the middle and do a single crochet. And we're going to do 5 of those. So go back into the middle and do another one, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then just pull your tail end a little bit just to try and close up that hole. But then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. So just put your, I know there's a bit of a distance between, but if we just put our hook into that first single crochet, bring the yarn through and straight through the loop on our hook to do a slip stitch. So by the end of that first round you should have 5 single crochet, and then what we're going to do, we're going to double up to 10. So we're going to chain 1 to begin, but bring your yarn up a little bit first to keep it loose. That makes it easier to find at the end of the round. And then what we're going to do, into the same stitch that we just slip stitched into, go back into that same one we just slip stitched into, and we're going to do a single crochet. So technically we've got 2 stitches in that first stitch now. We've got our single crochet and our chain 1. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet. So we do 1 and then we go back into the same stitch and do another one, so there's 2 in there. And we're going to do 2 single crochet into each stitch around. So then we find the next stitch and do 2 in there, 1 and 2, and then 2 in the next one, 1 and 2, and then 2 in the last one as well, 1 and 2. And it always looks like there's another stitch left, but that's what I call a fake stitch because it tricks you. You should have 10 stitches by now, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and then including your chain 1, that makes 10. So just next to your fake stitch is your chain 1. So we put our hook into our chain 1, I always find the first half of it first. Go over to find the second. There we go. Second bit of yarn. Then just bring the hook through, the yarn through, and then straight through the loop on our hook to do a slip stitch. And there we've got 10 stitches by the end of round 2. Then we're going to do one more round of increases. We're going to do a chain 1 again, so bring up your yarn to keep it loose and do a chain 1. Then we don't want to work into the slip stitch one we did just now. I want to go straight into the next stitch now, and in the next stitch we want to do 2 single crochet. So that's 1 and another one in the same stitch. So you've got 2 in there. But in the next stitch we're just going to do 1 single crochet, just one by itself. It's just one by itself. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet again. And we're just going to repeat that round, doing 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, back to the beginning, until you've got a stitch count of 15. So that's 1 by itself in the next stitch, then 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, then 1 by itself, then 2 single crochet, 1 and another one in the same stitch, 2 in there, then 1 by itself in the next stitch, just 1, and then 2 single crochet in the last stitch. So you should end on 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. So there we go. So you should have 15 stitches now, and again you've got that fake stick that tricks you, but just next to that is your chain 1, and hopefully if you've kept it loose enough it should be easy to work into. And we're just going to do a slip stitch into that chain 1. Okay, so that's the end of round 3. Then all we're going to do for the next 3 rounds, rounds 4, 5 and 6, is we're going to bring our yarn up and do a chain 1. Then we're going to go straight into the next stitch, so not the one we slip stitched into, but the next stitch along, and do a single crochet by itself, and we're going to do 1 single crochet by itself in each stitch around, so you've still got a stitch count of 15, and you're going to do that for 3 rounds. So for 3 rounds you're going to do chain 1, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and then just slip stitch into your chain 1 at the end. So you should keep a stitch count of 15. Okay, so I'm going to do that for 3 rounds, and then I shall come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so just coming up to the last stitch on the 3rd round, and then we just slip stitch into our chain 1. Okay, so you should still have a stitch count of 15. And what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 1. So bring your yarn up again, do your chain 1, and then in the next stitch we're going to bring the yarn through, but then we're going to go straight into the next stitch, bring our yarn through to single crochet 2 stitches together. So we yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and in the next stitch we're just going to do a normal single crochet by itself. Then we're going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So we go into the next one, bring the yarn through, stop, go into the next one, bring the yarn through, then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. I'm just going to repeat that round. We're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, just by itself, and then single crochet 2 together. Then 1 single crochet by itself, then single crochet 2 together, then 1 single crochet by itself, and that should leave you with 2 stitches. I want a single crochet those two together. Okay, so you should have reduced your stitch count back down to 10, but then we're just going to slip stitch. So there's our fake stitch, and just next to that is our chain one. I just want to slip stitch into there. This is where it all starts getting a bit fiddly. So there we go, should look like that. And then what we want to do is we want to do 2 rounds of chain one and 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to chain one, bring that yarn up to keep it loose. Then what I tend to do is flatten the work, which makes it a bit easier, and making sure not to go for the other side. Just work your 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So you've still got a stitch count of 10. I want to do that for 2 rounds. Including our chain one, and we just find there's our fake stitch, just next to that is our chain one. Just slip stitch into there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just pull your yarn up slightly, and we're going to stop there and just puff out your little mouse body a bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on the other parts, the ears and the eyes. So making sure you've got a little loop there just to keep it so it doesn't come undone. And then we're going to get a little bit of toy stuffing to begin. And I find when trying to put toy stuffing into small holes, I find using some scissors works really well. Just stuff your little mouse's body with either yarn scraps or toy stuffing. That'll probably be okay. And then what we want to do is we're going to cut this yarn, but you want to leave a little bit for sewing. You don't need too much, but just enough to sew up the end part of your mouse. Just put that to the side. And get the yarn that's fallen on the floor. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some ears. Now to make the ears, we're going to work 8 double crochet into a magic circle. Now if you don't like the magic circle, you can chain 4, slip stitch into your first chain to form a loop, and then work your 8 double crochet into that loop if you prefer. But you want to make this twice, obviously, for 2 ears. So we're going to work 8 double crochet into a magic circle. Now I've done a video in more detail on my magic circle. I'll put a link in the description to that video. Explains why I do that little dummy stitch to secure. Then we're just going to work 8 double crochet. So there's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7 and 8. And like I said, if you this looks way too complicated, then you can just chain 4 and slip stitch into your first chain to form a loop, like we did for the beginning of the mouse, and then just work 8 double crochet into that loop. Let me just pull our tail end nice and tight, and we're going to stop there. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our yarn, leave enough for tying onto your mouse. Just pull the yarn through. And what I need to do, this centre yarn here, the one at the beginning, I'm going to get our yarn needle, and we're going to thread that onto our yarn needle, and it's going to sew it to the other end basically, as neatly as you can. There we go. So now we've got one that end and one that end. And what we all need, I can't speak. All we need to do then is sew them into the actual body. Now the seam of your mouse I put on the bottom to hide it on the bottom. So making sure that's on the bottom, you just want to sew your ears onto your mouse. Let's do the bottom one first. So we sew one end and bring that through out the front and get the other end. And sew slightly up and out the front, making sure not to catch anything. And then what you want to do is making sure your yarn you're working with the rest of the mouse is out the way. You want to take your 2 ends and then we just want to tie them as tightly as we can. Do a double knot. Then I just trim the excess, and then the remaining tail ends just shove inside, like so. That's one of our little ears sewn on. We're going to do exactly the same again for the other side, and then I shall come back and show you how to do the eyes. Okay, so there we go. I've done the exactly the same 8 double crochet in a magic circle. You can do your 8 double crochet in your chain 4 loop and sewn that onto the other side. And then all we want to do now is take a little bit of our black yarn and take a couple of lengths about that long. So want a couple of those. That's all we need for the black. And then into each length we want to tie a couple of knots on top of each other into the middle. There's one. We'll do another knot on top, and you want it to sit right on top of the other one. So there we go. You want to do that twice. Try and get it into the middle as best you can. Hardest part is getting the second knot to sit on the top one. There we go. So I've got 2 of those, and then we're going to sew each end of our little knots just in front of the eyes and out for the front again. Exactly the same as we did for the ears, and the little knot will catch on the outside. And take the other end and then go over slightly, come out through the front, and then when you pull tightly you'll see your little double knot catches on the outside. It makes a really good little eye. Then all you have to do is just to tie on the inside, do a double knot. Then you can trim the excess and hide the rest on the inside of your mouse. So you do exactly the same for the other eye, and I shall come back. Okay, so I've done that for the other eye, and now what we want to do is, hopefully you haven't tied in your yarn that you've been using for your actual mouse. We want to put our hook back on, rejoin. You should have fair bit left, and what we want to do is we want to single crochet 2 stitches together, as many as you can to close. It does get really fiddly towards the end, so I end up managing to do about 8 stitches of the 10, then I just sew the remaining part closed. But go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, stop, into the next stitch, bring the yarn through and single crochet 2 together, like so. And then into the next stitch, into the next stitch, single crochet those 2 together, and the next 2, that's 6, see if we can do 7 and 8. 7 and 8, and can we do 9 and 10? Can't really do 9 and 10, so we're just going to just do 1 single crochet and then pull your yarn through. So to single crochet 2 stitches together, as many as you can. You should be able to do about 8 stitches, and then you should run out of stitches and just do a single crochet in the last stitch. Then just thread on your yarn, and we're going to sort of concertina drawstring the remaining bit close. So we go to the next stitch and out, then into the next stitch and out through the next one. So sort of drawstringing it closed. So next stitch and out, and then into the next. You can't really see any more stitches now, but when your hole is finally closed and you've got a little bit of a point, what we're going to do is we're going to thread the tail end through the nose and then out onto the body somewhere like that. But don't pull too tightly, because you don't want to distort the front of the nose. So just keep it nice and loose and keep that pointy nose. And then you want to sew, go back into where you came out and come over the other side somewhere. Again, don't pull too tightly, just let it disappear on the inside. And then you want to go back in to the same area, and then we want to come out the very tail end. Again, don't pull too tightly. And then take your yarn needle off, and now you can see we've got our tail, and all that's left to do is trim your tail down, and there is your finished mouse. So there we go, we've got a little one in white, and now we've got a little one in brown. Cute little mice. And of course you can add, if you want to, you can add whiskers. I haven't added whiskers because they're so small that when I added whiskers it just made them look like they've got a big hairy moustache. So I've left that off, but you can of course add tiny little bows perhaps to the ears, or a little bow at the ends of the tail, can look quite sweet. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that little yarn scrap crochet tutorial. Definitely is a little yarn scrap one today. And yeah, I've got a special one coming next Friday, because I hear it is a certain special date for my American friends, and I'll give you a little hint with these colours. And but I've also got something coming for my Canadian friends as well, because someone told me that it's Canada Day as well on the 1st of July, so I can't leave you guys out, so I shall work on something special for you as well. But until then, I shall see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!